So when they told me I had MS, it was actually a phone call.
I was in the operating room when Roxanne was born, immediately given to me after she got cleaned up. You always have that thought of the face, how would she look like?
When she was a little baby, I used to sing to her, and I would tell her, "You're the only one that can hear me sing, and when you grow up, we're gonna be so close, and we're gonna be best friends."
So my doctor told me, like, it looks like you have MS. And I was like, oh. And I just started crying because the only time I had ever seen it before then was in an episode of Undercover Boss. One of the employees has MS. She was talking about her symptoms and I was like, whoa, that sounds like what I have. And I started Googling it and it sounded so scary. It was like the scariest thing, like you could like lose your eyesight and blah, blah, blah and all this stuff. And I was like, oh shit, like I should stop Googling stuff because I'm just gonna scare myself. I probably don't even have that. And then it turns out I did. And I was like, oh my God, I have the scary one that's made me stop Googling all my symptoms.
So multiple sclerosis is a condition of the central nervous system, that is the brain and spinal cord, but also including the optic nerves, which are the nerves right behind the eye. And it's considered to be an autoimmune disorder in which the immune system, in one way, shape, or form, gets activated in an incorrect way. And instead of trying to, say, get rid of viruses or bacteria or funguses from your body, actually somehow is misdirected in its attack against the nervous system. And this results in a variety of different symptoms that could be some very non-specific things, such as numbness in an extremity or in the chest or abdomen, or perhaps loss of vision in an eye, double vision, trouble with walking, bowel and bladder and sexual dysfunction. And perhaps the most important symptom for people with MS is fatigue, and fatigue can be caused by many different factors. One is just the MS itself. But in addition, a lot of our patients wake up tired. That is, they have sleep disruption.
Same thing on this side. Pull that up and fight.
Physically, she was having problems with the tiredness and the walking, but I also saw that she was very depressed, that she just didn't want to do anything. I would invite her somewhere and it was a struggle for her.
My immediate reaction was I was afraid. But slowly I was relieved, actually, to know that I had something, not specifically MS, but something. For months, years of my life, I thought I was just lazy. I thought I was just fat. I thought I was just stupid because I couldn't do this or I didn't want to do that. And it's like, oh no, it's a real thing. Like, there's a reason why this is happening. It's not that you're lazy. The symptoms I was looking up were the not being able to walk. Also, my legs were numb. This sounds stupid, but I would lose them if I'm laying in bed and my legs are down there, but I would lose track of them until I moved them. I'm like, oh, that's where they are. And so that's why I can't drive cars. Another one that I was looking at, but I don't think I was approaching it in the right way, was that I couldn't orgasm, but that ultimately was what led to my MRI.
Ultimately, the diagnosis is made by looking at an examination of the patient in addition to looking at their symptoms, identifying that there are abnormalities on their exam that go along with those symptoms. And then we also use laboratory tests, especially MRI scans of the brain and spine, that can help us identify what we think of as typical abnormalities or lesions that are seen on the scans.
Once we find out, then it's what is it? And then how can you approach it? Is it treatable? Is it non-treatable? As I read it, they use a word that's called remission. It seems like it goes and it comes back. But there's some that gets worse and worse. She was given a lot of medication to improve her nervous systems, and I could see she got much better because she was losing her balance to walk. She was even using a walker. You know, and it's hard because, you know, you're so young. You're so full of life. How could this happen?
So MS treatments fall into probably 5 categories. One is just be healthy. Exercise, exercise, exercise. Taking vitamin D and having an elevated vitamin D level in your blood. Not smoking is important for the same reasons I just mentioned. The second thing is treating comorbidities. A third thing is that if people have an acute attack of multiple sclerosis, we think of that as an immune attack on the nervous system. We try to short circuit that immune attack by using high dose steroids for a very brief period of time, with the hope that that would make the remission occur more rapidly. Fourth thing is just to treat symptoms after they have occurred if there's not a complete remission. They might have any of a variety of pain syndromes or other things, and we just use symptom therapy to treat those. But finally, most importantly perhaps, there are now at least 10, depending upon how you count, maybe up to 14 or 15 so-called disease-modifying therapies. And these are medicines that are taken on a regular basis, and their goal is to decrease the number of new relapses that people have. And the hope is that by treating someone very early with highly effective therapy, and then doing all those other things that I mentioned, that people will have the best possibility for what we aim at, which is a lifelong brain and spine health.
I'm afraid that it's gonna affect her even worse than it already is. I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping that there will be more advances, more medical advances. But working in the medical field, I've seen a lot of people with this, and it scares me.
I've always wanted to travel, and I remember one day I just completely broke down, and I was speaking to my father. It's like, am I ever gonna see the Great Wall of China, Dad? Like, I don't know if they have handicap access. That day I was also thinking about my trip to Italy. All the streets were cobblestone, so like a walker doesn't work there. You have to be careful with a cane because it could slip in between the stones.
The long-term challenges of people with MS revolve around the nature of the various types of disabilities that we see. A very large one is walking and just mobility in general. Those are really seen in a large number of people. A second large one we talked about a little bit, which is cognitive impairment. Cognitive impairment also is associated with significant disruption in activities of daily living, especially employment. But there's also a lot of secondary things that are important. So I alluded to those with loss of employment, for example. Divorce can be a significant problem. Depression and social isolation.
I'm afraid that I will never orgasm again, ever in my life. I'm not like a nympho or anything, but I think it definitely brings something to my relationship, or any relationship. My biggest fear apart from that would be that I lost the ability to walk, because that was my first big symptom. That was such a big thing that I couldn't ignore. That was like so obvious. It was something you could see.
I think the number one thing to impress upon people is that your life is not over. MS is a very variable disorder. Some people even have relatively quite benign disease. People have to take it seriously, but I don't think it should run their life. It should be something that is obviously an important part of their life, but not the only thing in their life.
It changes your life, but I think you have to have a very strong mind, and sometimes this is the best it's going to be, and I have to take the best of it. Not to be resented or remorseful against life, or just you go on with life, make it better and better.
Just that she's still moving forward. She is very positive, and she's making such an effort to get better and to try hard.
There's so much the person can do, but I believe if you have hope, good things come. And I think for her, there's hope that you'll be fine. And, hope is a very strong word, that at the end of all this, it's going to be okay.
For other people who have MS, I would want them to know that this isn't the end of the world. There'll be days that feel like it is, but it's not. And you're gonna fall a lot. But it's okay, just get back up. Just keep going.
Sometimes people are heroes, examples in life to show others how to overcome the things that we get through life.
I'm a lioness with the power of 1,000 suns. And it was just something I would tell myself when I fell down. Like, it's okay, you're a lioness with the power of 1,000 suns. Just get up. I'm like, okay.